Hello, welcome to 8.9 News. I'm Costain. We Feed the UK is a new photography and poetry series celebrating regenerative food production in the UK. The series is coordinated by the Gaia Foundation. I spoke to Rowan Phillimore, the Deputy Director at Gaia, and I asked her about the purpose of the We Feed the UK project.
It's really a celebration of regenerative farming and of the custodians of land, seed, sea, soil. There's some absolutely incredible work going on all across the UK, from every corner of the UK in this time. And we just wanted to elevate that work, share stories that are really incredibly moving and inspiring and hopeful, and do that through photography and spoken word, and a collaboration with the arts partners to really bring in new audiences to this moment in time and to such a critical issue right now.
Now, you've promoted this project as a series, but what do you mean by a photography and poetry series?
So we launch in Liverpool on Thursday, the 8th of February, and that marks the first of 10 exhibitions going around the country. So in each exhibition, the series is that we focus on 10 farming stories from 10 different regions, 10 different themes, and 10 photographers and 10 spoken word artists have collaborated on each story. So the series is that in each area around the UK, people will get a chance to see an exhibition that's unique to that area. It might be that in due course there is a sort of coming together of all 10 because they really speak to one another. But at the moment, it's a series that is unique to that area. I can quickly tell you for your audience. So February, Liverpool; April, Glasgow; May, Walsall, the Black Country; June, Brecon in Wales; September, Shropshire; October, London; November in Northumberland; and then January 2025, Northern Ireland; and April in Bristol in the southwest. And each of those stories is unique.
Fantastic. What a great tour. So starting in Liverpool, what would people coming to the Open Eye Gallery expect to find?
So the exhibition is actually being put on as part of their climate lab. So there's a broader amount of work there as well. But the specific work that we've done for We Feed the UK is the photographer Johannes Pretorius has visited a farm called Strictly Farm that is run by James Robinson and his family. And he's really captured the story of biodiversity restoration there through ancient hedgerow ligging. So that's been the sort of focus of that particular story. It's one of intergenerational knowledge and the restoration of hedgerows. And you'll see the photographs, and then there'll also be a film there of the so with each story, as I mentioned, there's a spoken word artist's been attached to that story. So Testament, who is part of the Hot Poets group, he has done an amazing, it's a really moving poem about the hedgerow ligging, and that's on display in the gallery as well.
What's the role, do you think, of the creative arts in helping to change public attitudes, for example, around farming with nature?
I think it's really important because I think that we can speak in our bubbles and, how many audiences are really engaging with the environment sector or the farming trade press, or it's like we've got to speak beyond that about this. And this is it's such an accessible story. I think, food and farming affects absolutely everyone. It's something we could all get behind. There is such a moment of opportunity with the transition of farming and food production to something more regenerative and nature-led that actually it's a low-hanging fruit almost. And I think by bringing the arts together on it, then it reaches a much wider audience. And I mean, the poets, the hot poets who we're working with, some of them are big-name artists. I mean, Disraeli, he's a musician as well. He's got a huge following, totally different audience than that we would usually speak to. So by doing a collaboration like this, you broaden your audience hugely. And also just, I think we've got to, the urgency of the climate crisis and biodiversity loss means that we've got to stop talking in sectors and be collaborative across, and we've got to all rise together to the challenge. So I think it's really important, and it's been incredibly fun. And I know that for all of the photographers, the poets, the arts partners, they have really enjoyed the last year, this journey of actually understanding regenerative farming and what's going on with farmers and food producers locally to them. And they are excited to share that story with their audiences.
Brilliant. Now, farming in the UK is notoriously lacking in diversity, and yet this project series is showcasing diversity. Why have you chosen to do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's so fundamentally important to us because, there's actually some amazing projects going on being led by a really diverse range of people in cities and in rural areas. But I think the common perception that a farmer is, 50-something-year-old white male in the countryside is actually incorrect now. And we need to challenge that. And the best way to challenge that is by showing other stories and showing diversity. And so, we've got a couple of amazing stories, in London, Black Roots and Go Grow with Love. They're both doing amazing work connecting some of the diaspora communities there with food growing. Same in Walsall with No Diggity, led by Neville Portus. So there's some amazing examples. And the Land in Our Name actually released a report in 2022 called Jumping Fences, and it was all about the barriers of getting people from different walks of life and BIPOC communities onto the land. And one of the main barriers identified was just a lack that the narrative needs to change, that actually there are plenty of amazing examples of this in action and amazing people. So we want to elevate their stories just as much as anyone. So the range of stories that we're featuring, there's amazing women growers, there's amazing Black-led community groups, and then there's some amazing traditional farmers that are perhaps more akin to what we might think of in Northumberland and Cumbria, but they're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible on the land there.
And just finally, you've used the term hot poet several times. What is a hot poet?
It's a good question. So the collaboration that with We Feed the UK has basically been that we've worked first with the photographers, which is what we did with We Feed the World, which is a whole project that preceded this that we exhibited in 2018, where we sent photographers. Well, they were based all over the world already, but they visited smallholder farming communities, and they took the stories from them to share with the world about the amazing resilience of these farmers. And that was wonderful, and it was exhibited in London. But with this sort of iteration of the project, we thought it would be really nice to bring another layer and a different kind of medium to tell these stories through. And we encountered the Hot Poets, which is founded by Liv Talk and Chris Redmond, who are themselves both award-winning poets. And they have this amazing way of curating spoken word artists with climate scientists or NGOs who perhaps, have an amazing message, but it's maybe not getting out there in a kind of way that reaches really hearts and a wider audience. So we struck up this collaboration with them. So they have identified 10 poets who are, again, regionally based, to come together on these stories and to share it through spoken word. And I think that's a really exciting new element of this project. So we've got now photographers and spoken word. And actually, just to say something about the relatability of each project, one of the reasons that we really wanted this regionality to the rollout was so that people could find someone that they identify with that feels familiar to them, that's growing food in their landscape, or that has their accent. So, Kate Fox in the Northeast, she's the poet for the Northumberland story, and so on. It's there's a real range across the country there of voices and perspectives.
That was Rowan Phillimore from the Gaia Foundation. More news on our website, 8.9.com. That's all for now. We're back soon. Thanks for watching.